It's Donna from the library. Welcome back to week 2 of our Behind the Book book talks, coming to you from the Simon's room at the very empty library. Last week, I found myself in a strange sort of reading mood, and unlike any other time in my life, I decided that I couldn't just read one book and be happy with that, so I actually picked up 2 books. Very different, and on some days one worked better than the others, but I made it through both of them. So first of all, we have Raising Hope, which is a debut novel written by Willard and published in 2005. And Raising Hope tells the story of Hope, whose mom died during childbirth, and her dad decided that he was not ready to take on the responsibility of raising a little girl by himself. So he left Hope with his sister Ruth and his first love, Sarah Lynn, to raise. And when the story starts in the imaginary town of Ridley Falls in New Hampshire, and I always love books that are based in New Hampshire, Hope is just turning 12. And this book kind of goes back and forth in time to show how the relationship between Ruth and Sarah Lynn was formed, and then how the bond between Ruth and Sarah Lynn came into be as they worked together to give Hope a good upbringing. And also included in the story are their moms, Ruth and Sarah Lynn's moms. So it's kind of a 3-generational look at the relationship between mothers and daughters and how families come in all shapes and sizes and love is unconditional. So it's kind of a quirky book. It's pretty witty. I love Hope's mind. I mean, I remember it brought me back to being 12 and remembering how I looked at the world and the grown-ups around me. So it was kind of fun that way. So it was really just a great read, and I wouldn't have picked it up, but it was on our spring display because the cover is very springish, and I was very happy that it was there because it was well worth reading. But sometimes during the week it just wasn't holding my interest because times are strange and my mind was wandering and there wasn't enough action to keep me going because it's more of a character-driven story than an action-packed story. So in those times, I chose to read Unsub by Gardiner, which is the first in the Unsub series of novels. There are 3 now. The latest one just came out earlier this year. And Unsub is the story of Caitlin Hendricks, whose dad, when she was a child, was a cop. And he was searching for a serial killer who was known as the Mercury Killer and sometimes the Prophet. And the search for this serial killer was kind of the demise of his career. He kind of went off the deep end, had to be institutionalized, and now he just kind of is a recluse that lives in an apartment down the street from the house that they lived in as a family. So when he was a cop, Caitlin was a little girl. It kind of lasted until she was a teenager. So the search for the Mercury Killer really was a huge part of her life. And now she's a cop. And 20 years after he disappeared from the public eye, the serial killer has come back. And she has been tasked with helping to find him, to bring him to justice. So this is a very action-packed story, and I know a lot of people don't care for serial killer type books, but this is a great distraction in a time when so much is going on, and I totally forgot about the pandemic while I was reading it because it's pretty high energy, action-packed, and well worth the read. So there you have it. My 2 books for last week, Raising Hope by Willard and Unsub by Gardiner. And I hope you're all getting some good reading done, but if you're not, I know it's really hard to concentrate sometimes, and you would think that we would be burning through our to-be-read piles, but concentration seems to be an issue for me anyways. So anyways, I will look forward to seeing you next week for the 3rd installment of this series. And until then, happy reading, and just know that we really miss you at the library. Take good care.